Welcome to Seen and Heard podcast, where everyone should be seen and heard. I'm your host, Sharon, and we are joined today by our special guest and co-host, Dandanzhu. Welcome, Dandan.
Thank you,
And I'm
Corinne.
going to pass the mic to Dandan to give us a short introduction, and then we're going to get into our show.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I came to the US when I was 5 from China, and having grown up in America and seeing all these interesting experiences in my life, I've just been talking more and more about it on TikTok, which is how I got connected with Sharon. And I'm just excited to be on Seen and Heard to share some thoughts about my experiences growing up here.
Welcome to the show, Dandan. I'm so glad to have you here. Now, our show tonight is going to be one of the trending topics that's on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. We're talking about passport bros, incels, the men in our community, that the non-agreeable men in our community, and which is a problem as much as we laugh. It is a problem. I'm going to open up with a video that will give you some context on what our conversation, what we're going to be talking about today. So, one of three videos. Here we go with the first one.
I want to send a shout out to the Brazilian men that did not allow their women to get exploited by the passport bro community. Shout out to y'all. A lot of men in America, a lot of brothers in America, they think I hate them. How can I hate seeing of which I come from? No, I want y'all to do better. I want the brothers in America to take the stand and allow our sisters to get exploited. I would love to see that. Why do we let our sisters get exploited by the music industry? Why do we let our sisters get exploited by America in general? Why do we do it? Why are we complacent with these things? And then you make excuses for it. Let me tell you a secret. It doesn't even matter. See, because in Brazil, certain professions that the women were doing technically were legal. But it didn't matter they were legal because the men felt like those women were being exploited. So sometimes when it comes to your family, we know aunties such and such is like that. But you better not talk about my auntie because we gonna have a problem. Yeah. I know this family member is like that, but you better not touch my family member. Don't exploit my family. See, brothers in America start to develop that way of thinking. Then you will see them be able to rise up and power and be the men that the community needs to build strong family. But until that happens, you guys just let everybody run over community. You don't take a stand. And this is a major problem because another group of people, they ain't trying to hear that they women was into whatever plane and traffic type of careers that they had. That don't even matter. Don't come over here and explore our women and don't put them in a negative light. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the fuck you seen on TV. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we just turned on 10 songs in a row that Megan Stallion and Glorilla and whoever else was talking shit. Don't come and exploit our women or we gonna have a problem. That is the mentality brothers in America need to take on and learn from other groups of people because they know their women aren't perfect, but don't come exploit them, don't put them in bad light, don't disparage them, or we're going to have a major issue. Ashe.
So that is one example of what's going on with passport bros, and too, because it kind of is a segue into the conversation about the men in our communities, Black community, Asian community, and you can shed some light on because I know there's like some kind of not ask for a war, but there's kind of like a friction in our communities, and maybe we could figure out like the core of it because me because, especially at the time, why is typically the black community and their the women and the men are having issues? You could be a Asian man, Asian man, or having like friction and Latino community as well. But I can't speak on that because we're not in those. But it's curious to me that this point in time that's being blown up for some reason. It seems like there's something behind that to me. And can't come back after this video. I want you to answer what's going on in your.
It's not because I like the bad boys or whatever. I like nice guys.
No, no, you don't. You need to stop saying this if it's not true. If there is a nice guy that shows up in front of you, shows that he loves you, cares about you, appreciates you, takes good care of you, does right by you, etc., and you don't,
These self-proclaimed nice guys need to accept the fact that they're not nice guys. It is definitely a self-proclaimed nice guy who does not feel entitled to a woman's affection simply because he thinks that he is nice. This entire video he did is a 2-minute and 42-second rant how women claim to like nice, and he's an 11 personality but don't want to date him, so obviously they don't like nice guys. It's an entitled mindset that they have, which they believe that they keep inputting nice women are supposed to output sex. They view this relationship as transactional, like a vending machine. Nice is quarters and sex are a bag of Doritos. It doesn't matter if a woman states that he is attracted to nice guys and isn't attracted to you particularly. If she's not attracted to you, it doesn't matter how nice you are, she's not attracted to you. It doesn't mean that she's not attracted to nice guys, but you having this entitled attitude that she is required to be attracted to you because she has a preference for nice guys means you're not a nice guy. Do you see the nice guy paradox going here? If you think that you're a nice guy and you treat it so they should want to date you, then you're not being a nice guy for the purpose of being a nice guy, meaning you're not a nice guy. Now, the next part of it is actually very disturbing, and for some people you may understand why, so I'm going to play it and then explain to you what is such a big red flag about this.
they just end up being bad guys. I don't know that they're bad guys because they don't know that they're bad guys during the first date. Why don't you date nice guys? Guys that you know are nice. Oh, because nice guys just end up not being nice. Okay, but how do you know? Oh, because these guys say that they're nice, but they're not really nice. So because these guys say that they're nice guys, actually nice guys, these guys that you were never going to give a chance to anyways, definitely don't have a chance now.
Now that you've seen it, let me tell you, that is incel talk. This is how incels are born. Incels, majority of the time, radical selves. Yes, many of them start in the Red Pill and pick up artistry forums, and then they start moving into Black Pill, eventually end up on incel forums. But they radicalize themselves by seeking out that information themselves, doing these self-talk role-play scenarios. He is actively making up a scenario, role-playing it out in self-talk to justify his views on women. And these people continue to do self-talk and this role-play, looping and building off of each other until they radicalize themselves into this belief. The reason why they are not successful creatures. That's the core belief of an incel. Their issues, relationships are not internal and something they need to celibate because are these destructive creatures out to ruin their lives. In his video, he talked about women's excuses hurting the people they claim to have a preference for.
About that. Women have their own preference, but if you keep saying this and you don't act on it, and you keep making up this without acting on it, excuses are hurting the people that you were talking about with the first thing. It's not preference. It's not true.
That's self-talk. And next in the last part of the video, show why people who go down this path of radicalization and incel to date women.
11 when it comes to I am an 11 when it comes to loving you and taking care of you. Not like, but But to get to that, you have to get past the 6th visual. And not a lot of women are willing to make that commitment. And that's perfectly fine. Just don't lie about it. You want a bad guy because they're more thrilling, they're more adventurous, they're more unpredictable, they're more fun, and more physically attractive. That's perfectly fine. But again,
You can see right there, he's already in his head. The way that men have success with women is to be dangerous. That if you want to have a relationship with an attractive woman, you have to be the bad boy, scary, dangerous, and thrilling for her. And this by itself starts playing out on their forums these abuse fantasies that they have towards women. Because they've convinced themselves that you can't be a nice guy because women just about being attracted to nice guys. You have to be the bad boy abusive guy. So to be successful with women, you have to abuse women. And unfortunately, the comments on his video have told me that he's not going to listen to anything anyone says. In the path of action. Because according to his comments, he's already done a 3-hour podcast on this subject. This devoted time and energy you have to put to making a 3-hour podcast on something an obsession. I post pretty regularly with a version on multiple platforms and have a podcast. There is no way that I could sit and make a 3-hour podcast on most subjects. But all of this put together just one giant walking red flag. But it's very important that you know the signs of those red flags and what to look out for. And this is probably the most perfect example that I could find.
You be Grant, and that is the subject. Our subject tonight is like the Red Pill Manosphere, because that sounds a lot like that you take. So what can you share what's going on within your community?
Well, I would say in general, I think what's happening is that the internet is bringing forth a lot of these conversations because now anybody can have a platform, good and bad, right? Like there are people now that can come out and create content like the video you just showed. And there's going to be a significant amount of people who will comment and support those viewpoints and vice versa, right? So I think to your point earlier, why is this conversation happening a lot more frequently is because now we have the tools to start doing it on a mass scale, where before these were just opinions that people had and you never really heard about them other than on some very obscure forums. But now it's kind of gone mainstream where it's very easily accessible, where anybody can build basically a group of followers by peddling all of these ideas and justifying it and sharing about it and bragging about it, and then they will have followers that follow them. So I think it's clear that it's this age-old issue of gender norms and how fast things are changing. And clearly people from all races are struggling. And I think this is a bigger issue of patriarchy. Everyone from all races, because the video that got a lot of attention on my page was just simply saying, hey, we have some outdated beauty standards. We're not recognizing the fact that women are being more talkative, are being more able to share their feelings and experiences without judgment, just sharing the experience from a woman's perspective. And then there is such a big pushback from people of the opposite gender, right? So it can only speak to kind of the different segments that we all now have and are self-selecting in. And this problem seems to be getting worse and worse because social media has a way of kind of putting people into echo chambers. So then what you like to talk about, you talk about. What they like to talk about, they talk about. And nobody's really going to listen to each other, right? Like this is why
Right.
it's self-radicalization.
Yeah, so like you were saying, it was underground before and it's gone mainstream. Because like I'd heard of Andrew Tate and I remember the little poll he had on Twitter between um, Greta Thunberg. I mean, he went for her, and she's 90 years old, so she did so he saw all that. He's made like a little sly 19-year-old, which is very funny. It was very funny. So I'm watching all of it in real time, and then seeing like almost a day afterwards, he gets arrested. He basically
Yep. Yep.
he knocks himself with a pizza box. I'm laughing. Of course, I want our listeners to be laughing too because they're probably laughing anyway because they all remember this situation because it was viral. But back to being serious, I'm sorry. That side,
It is instant karma, right? Like what happened, he got served really quickly. Didn't work out well for him, that's for sure.
it's the same thing with the guy in Brazil, the black guy that goes over to Brazil, which, mind you, you reminded me, I'm going to play this one last. Okay, mine Andrew Tate. That's funny. This is even funny. So, this guy is a passport bro. He's a black guy. He's one of the black incels in the black community. That's great. That does a podcast and content on his about we you don't need an American woman, and especially screw American black women. We don't like American black women because they're so alien and all this. You can go to another country, get a passport, go to Brazil. Okay, here's a karma for that. We can keep laughing because we're gonna get serious in a second. But yeah, this is okay. Here and
Let me just start by
wait.
for Bro series is one of the most entertaining and ironic series that Bro
People in Brazil are misinterpreting and they don't really understand well misinterpreting other things because I don't say nigga. That's why it's so thing to me. At first, this is very hard to me. The fact that it was like I lived in Brazil and my YouTube channel was centered around me showing up and not just the women, but just if you guys understand English and you watch my videos, you see me talk about how I just always start just to drink somehow.
I'm gonna stop right there because we all why he went to Brazil. Before we get into Brazilians on all this week, let's hear from the passport Bro spokesman. Yeah. Accused this man of sexual tourism, and his videos promote this. Now let's get into the statement that was made to cause Brazilians to not want him in their country. The same statement that Buddy just said. Never, ever, ever. Look, he said he thinks it was an issue because they're English and they listen to what he said. I'd be mad if they didn't understand that. Could they be upset if they didn't understand the words that were coming out of your mouth? Now that's on top of the fact that there are many Brazilians who speak English and fluent English. So not only did you insult their women, but you tried to play intelligence. And now you're hearkening think this is a good time to start exploring that the issue may not be the women in your country. I don't know. I don't know. But I know this girl in this content because it is entertaining. You know what I'm saying? It's giving very much stories, telenovela, like we want. Yeah.
He's funny. He's good. I'm enjoying. I'm following him. He's interesting.
Right. What is that? Yes, follow him, guys. Basically, he got that karma like Andrew Tate.
Yep.
Besides the fact that, like what the guy was saying was, he was insulting intelligence by saying, well, they don't understand, they don't speak English. Well, why not take the time out to learn their language and learn their culture? I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm learning how, it's only for visiting or anything, but I'm learning other cultures' languages. So just in case I come across those people or go to their countries to visit, I know their customs, their cultures, because I don't want to insult them. The behavior like that is not doing the black man any favors. Obviously, they were having issues anyway for that. But that's a serious problem because now that they're being more exposed, which, mind you, I don't care. I'm for it. I want to see them get exposed because they're embarrassing. That's embarrassing. But they're doing it to themselves, and now everybody around think they're all, you're trying to fight stereotypes. Giving people a reason to figure a whole stereotype. Like, okay, what do you say? Like with the guys in your community where they're complaining about, like you said, the patriarchy is in every community, but I've seen a lot of Asian guys complaining about, well, Asian women only want to date white men. They don't like, there's like a whole issue there.
Yeah, well, I guess the only way to see it is it's understandable why they were able to take a few challenges and kind of create a whole self-victimizing, like woe is me narrative around it. Because the reality is everybody struggles in dating. It's common. Even very good-looking people struggle. Even very successful people struggle. Dating is universally hard no matter who you are. And the problem with these folks is that they're just, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's desperation, maybe it's just a lack of community, maybe it's also paranoia and like mental health issues. But how they're going about it is not healthy for themselves. To literally have to go to a different country instead of addressing their own issues that make them unattractive no matter which country they go to. And ultimately, when people say they're going to a different country because they like the culture, but your purpose is to pick up a woman, I don't buy it, because the reality is you can't afford potentially a equal. You need to go to an area that is financially disadvantaged in order to use your economic power as your only saving grace to earn yourself the right of a partnership, which to me is sad. It's sad and it's laughable, right? So it's very pathetic is what it is. The whole thing is very pathetic because you can take a very simple, like, oh, I'm not as tall as I could be, and that becomes their whole identity, is this short man syndrome, right? It's like, look, there are plenty of men that are 5'6" and have wives. How do they do it? Right? Like, it's like, well, we're not 6 feet. Okay, well, there's plenty of people that are 5'8" with healthy lives, with healthy children. Your parent probably is also 5'6" if you're 5'6", reality. And you exist. So somebody created you, right? So, it's this such a victimhood that becomes this whole identity. And they just can't move past the self-suffering, which makes them unlikable to not only friends, but family, let alone a mate. A mate is the last person that's going to come to you when you're giving off that energy. So I don't think they realize this. And frankly, it's very sad to me because I see no remedy. I see no
Right.
cure for their illness.
Because they are so manly that they feel like they don't have to get, it's like they feel like they'll be weak if they reach out to get some help, because there was a black woman psychiatrist that was basically telling me, and she wasn't being mean about it or anything like that. I don't have her name right off, but if you go into the search bar on TikTok, you type black psychiatrist talking to black men. She got fired because the black men banded together because she was trying to give them advice to get help, and they banded together and got her fired. And it's like, okay. And then here's a article from Psychology Today, that which came out last year. Remember, August of last year? What's behind the rise of lonely single men? Which this article is talking about basically all men, especially if they're in a Western society. They all seem to be suffering from the same ailment. So this guy here, which is Greg Matos, psychiatrist, and he's a white guy. But this article he's written is basically a message for all Western living men. I take so.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
think yeah, again, it's this issue with lack of whether it's support, but it's no surprise that they banded together because fundamentally the red pill men, whatever they are, this newer phenomenon that frankly I didn't even hear of until recently, because I don't follow those things. Just like when I told the funny story about how Andrew Tate got doxed himself, my hubby was like, I don't even know who he is. Decent people don't follow these people. We don't know who they are. So, what we don't understand about them is that they're not decent people. You can't, as a woman, you cannot speak. They don't want to hear you speak. They fundamentally view us as less than. That's a critical mentality. If you knew that, you wouldn't be wasting your time trying to help them because they don't want help. They don't want to hear from women. They demean women. They think less of women. There's nothing that a woman can do to change their view. They need to do the work, and they're doubling down against doing the work. So
and
I feel really bad for her.
I use them as a red flag. I basically tell women, because, like you said, it, there is no course correction, it doesn't seem, in the near future. And I basically tell women with that mindset, um, just use it as a red flag. If there is any guy that you're talking to, or he's talking to you, and he's kind of liking you, or you're dating, or whatever it may be, if he starts talking with these talking points of like Andrew Tate or the Passport Bros, or those are red flags, because if they're buying into that ideology, you do not want, and I'm one never to tell anybody what to do, but I would suggest, I only suggest to women, if your guy that you're dating or that you like um, starts using those talking points, personally for me, that's a red flag. And it actually has worse consequences, because not only are the men buying into it, I've been seeing since he got arrested, Andrew Tate, I've been seeing that it's in the schools of preteen boys. Like there was a teacher that did a video, and he said he was alarmed. He wasn't the only one I saw, the teacher wise. They are alarmed at the boys in junior high, high school, elementary school that like Andrew Tate. So that's that's a crisis. That's a crisis.
Yeah. And that's the scary thing now. There is no qualification to be out there. Anybody with a mouth can create a following. And that is the modern age in which we live. And it's very concerning because if we're not interacting, maybe there was a issue with 2020 where like everyone could not connect and people just got really sucked into their lonely quarters, right? Where they're just by themselves, especially these young kids. Maybe they felt really like troubled, losing a whole year and a half or two. Maybe there's some trauma from interacting with people and reintegrating with society. I mean, we all as a global society had to reintegrate after a year and a half of very much keep away, right? So that hasn't helped. So I can just imagine, again, today you look at some children, their parents are too busy, they don't have time to manage them, they're on their phones from a very young age. That's very concerning because now they're not developing their motor skills, because that's a big difference in that next generation, that, you know, the Gen Alpha, the Gen Z, as woke as many of them are, you can bet a certain group just have not gotten the amount of exposure that your generation, my generation, we had pre the internet. Before the internet, we learned a lot of social skills. We actually were hanging out all the time. Other than reading books and maybe watching some television, there wasn't a lot of like additional tools or games. Now you can just be on the computer for 10 hours a day. You know, in China, there's a humongous issue with kids that go to the web bars, the internet bars, and they don't study. All they do is stream and go to these games, and they have terrible social skills. So can they find a mate? No. Can they attract a mate? No. Do many of them have successful careers? No. It's a pandemic. Epidemic? It's an epidemic. Yeah.
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 We've all been just like what you were saying, actually, the to what you said earlier, just a few seconds ago, about the social. We're all socially challenged. We've basically kind of been rewired because of the pandemic, and that's like everybody suffered like this weird realignment or like
Yeah.
rewiring of our
Yeah.
social skills. We
No.
became socially challenged, all of us in different degrees, in different ways. We all became socially challenged because of the pandemic. But
Right.
some of us coming out on the other side of the pandemic, even if we're still socially challenged, we begin to cope in different ways and try to figure our way through it. But like you said, that gave rise to these these passport bros, these Andrew Tates, the Manosphere, the red pill guys, all these incels, them being locked down, that empowered them. So with that, we're going to close because of our time here. And I want to thank you so much. Hold on a second. I got to put this back up here. I'm going to put, where is it? Okay, here we go. Thank you, Don Don, because Don Don is going to join me again. We've got so much to talk about. We've got several other segments of podcasts that we're going to talk about. This was so much fun. Follow Dandanzhu at dandanzhu.com. Did I say that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I enjoyed this, and we will join you or talk to you guys later. And you guys leave us a comment. Leave us any questions that you have. Let me get this here. Leave us any questions that you have, and with that, we will be. Let me see. I just got to get this. Where is it? And here. Oh, there it is, right there. So we will close out here, and we will see you guys later. Thank you, Don Don.
You're welcome, Sharon. All right.
We'd like to hear from you. If you'd like to leave feedback, a comment, or ask a question, leave us a voicemail at 615-447-8290. Thank you. City Scene Productions / Media Company and Seen and Heard Podcast are peer supported. All support is greatly appreciated, whether it is equipment or financial. Every little bit helps. Every contribution, however big or small, powers our programming, staff, and creators, and sustains our future. Any amount you are able to give to help support our journey and progress will be greatly appreciated. If you would like more info, please go to our contact page to leave a message and one of the members of our team will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you.